My shadow comes to visit me through you. Like a moth to the flame, my darkness is a beacon that magnetizes others to come and express the qualities that I have suppressed within. We call it the shadow because it is very hard to see. There are parts of myself that I have buried so deeply that I am unconscious of their presence, manifesting in my own behavior. These qualities are so familiar that I can see them clearly in the actions of others without coming to realize them within myself. The things that I envy and detest in others are things that have been shut down within me. These triggers are the bitter medicine that I need in order to uncover my own darkness that is seeking to be known and integrated. This may feel heavy to confront, but this is the real light work. Know thyself. Quoted from The Shadows of Light, written by Haley Clare. This is a beautiful oracle deck that I highly recommend. But nevertheless, she definitely explained shadow work in a very beautiful way. And today I want to touch upon the shadow because often we talk about working our light and rising to enlightenment and doing the light work here on planet Earth. But reality is that we live in a universe that consists out of duality, out of polarity, which means that without the darkness there wouldn't be light. And so it is very important that we also embrace our shadow. We embrace our shadow self. And one might ask, so then what is our shadow? What does that mean? Well, to my understanding, the shadow is a part of ourselves that we have subconsciously suppressed within ourselves. It's the parts where we might have experienced traumas or things that are not so pleasant in our lives, or things from our personality that we're not so proud of or are undesirable. And those parts of ourselves, we rarely look at those parts, and we rarely look into the mirror and recognize those parts. And sometimes, because the shadow wants to be known, the shadow wants to be healed, and in order to really live a balanced life, we need to embrace both our light and our dark. Because whenever we suppress our darkness, we become limited by it. Because think about this, when we suppress it, it means that there's a part of ourselves that we're not recognizing, and because we're not recognizing it, it becomes sort of a blind spot to our personality. And that means that this blind spot also manifests itself in our life through our actions, through our patterns and ways of communication. And so it is so important that we recognize our shadow so that we can actually embrace our full potential, and we can start living life in full alignment with our higher self. And so one of the ways of how to do shadow work, or how to recognize what is part of your shadow, is through recognizing your emotional triggers. There are times in my life where my shadow has come and visited me, as Haley Clare very beautifully described. Sometimes the shadow self comes to visit you, and it wants to be heard, it wants to be seen, because it needs to be healed, and you need to embrace yourself. And so how it wants to be seen is through often situations with others, or things that really, really trigger you. And often this comes in a sequence of things. It manifests itself as sequences, and this is how I recognize my shadow self. I really know that I also have a part that needs to be worked on. And this goes for everyone on our planet. Everyone has a shadow self. It doesn't have to be very traumatic experiences, but everyone has their flaws and their gifts. And we need to embrace that. We need to recognize that. And for everyone, this always comes to the surface to be recognized. So knowing your emotional triggers is one of the easiest way of how to recognize your shadow self. And especially when those triggers are something that comes back in patterns. When you can recognize a pattern, meaning that it is something that comes back through different types of situations, but it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same situation, but just slightly different. And that's how you know that when a pattern like that occurs, that it's part of your shadow, it's part of you. And once you know that that is part of you, the healing process only happens when you become aware. So awareness is very important. Once you become aware of what it is that needs to be healed, then you can now work on that, and you can consciously choose different things to focus on whenever something happens like that. And it's not so much that we want to be perfect, because I always think that sometimes when we start healing ourselves, or we start doing this process, it is very important that you recognize that this shadow is there, and it's allowed to be there. It is not something that you have to push away, or something that you completely want to eliminate out of your life. But it's more the case that you need to shine light on it. You need to shine light on your shadow. You need to embrace it. You need to accept that it's here. And when you accept that it's here, it can become a strength of you. Because think about it. If you truly think about your flaws, then often your flaws are also a strength. I mean, I know, for example, when I look at myself, and I'm taking this example because maybe you can recognize yourself within this. I know that I am a perfectionist, or at least I used to be very much a perfectionist. And I know that being a perfectionist does make things look and sound very beautiful and perfect. It makes the end result very beautiful. But on the other side, it can also slow you down if you take it too far. And this is the case, I think, with every flaw that we have. Often it's also a strength if we use it correctly. And I do believe that this is what happens with our shadow self. If we can shine light on our shadow and we become aware of it, it becomes part of our conscious state of being, and it transforms from your blind spot into a part that's been integrated within yourself, and you can use it to get better results or more efficient results, or whatever it is that your quality is. So this is the reason why it is so important that we start to do shadow work, and we not only look at the good parts and look at the fun parts of life, because ultimately life is going to throw you challenges. Life is going to throw you situations that will not be that comfortable for you, because it wants to uncover those parts of yourself, because life, or at least your higher self, wants you to evolve best. And the only way for you to evolve is to grow in the parts where you're not so solid yet, where there's more expansion possible. And so whether you choose to do shadow work or not consciously, eventually life is going to force you to look yourself in the eye and accept those parts of yourself, so that you can unblock certain limitations, so that you can start moving into new directions and start expanding in new ways that wasn't possible before, because that shadow of yours was still blocking the way. And then now that this is unblocked, so many more opportunities and a lot more of your potential can be fulfilled now. Let me know in the comments if there's any aha moments, anything you want to share about shadow work and how you've been going about this. It's always good to hear, also for the other people within our community. And thank you so much for liking and sharing this video with anyone who needs to hear right now, maybe your friends or your family, anyone you think could benefit from this information. And of course, if you're new here and haven't already subscribed to my channel, remember to do so, as you will be the first to watch all of my videos every Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so that you can create your best life. Remember, we have such an exciting future to look forward to, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Bye for now.